freaking first cut. Golly.
Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your DFS preview for this week's Valero Texas Open. Joining me to break it all down, Greg DuCharme is here. Hello, Greg.
Hey, Rick. Looking forward to tonight discussing the Valero Texas Open. Always a fun one, fun golf course, tricky little golf course. So I'm looking forward to it.
We were just saying that the next time we do this, 7 days from now, will be us talking about the Masters.
Yes. And how exciting is that? I can't believe it's here. It doesn't feel like, well, in a lot of ways it does feel like it's Masters time. In a lot of ways it doesn't. But this week, definitely spending a lot of time getting into it. So I'm really looking forward to it.
When the Open Championship ends, it feels so far away. And now that it's a week away, I'm trying to really bask in it because I know it's going to go quickly. But all those days I was thinking, oh my gosh, 100 days, 90 days, 80. Well, it's like 7 days now. So it's here. It's here. I should enjoy this.
With all that's gone on in the game of golf. And I mean, just think about what has taken place between the Open and now and how torturous it's been. And that's not, it's just that the focus hasn't been on the golf. And now it feels like the focus is on the golf, which is awesome.
We deserve it. We deserve it. And we're getting a pretty decent field in Texas this week. Rory McIlroy, Hideki Matsuyama, Ludwig, Colin Morikawa, Homa, Fitzpatrick, amongst others. The golf course they are going to tackle is TPC San Antonio. Troy, if you want to fire up my screen, I have got the scorecard here. It is a par 72, Greg, 7,400 yards. This is a course we've been going to routinely over the years, even though we are getting some guys who don't necessarily make it part of their schedule.
Yes, and I said in the intro there, which was probably a mistake, tricky little golf course, and it's not little. This is a big golf course, right? 7,400 yards. It is par 72, and two of the par fives are over 600 yards on both of them on the front nine, number 2 and number 8. You have 18 at 591. So the par fives are no picnic. Still scoring opportunities, of course, but they are long. And you have some longer par threes as well. Number 13, 241 yards. The par fours are not nearly as long as last week. So I don't think you're going to see the same quantity of long irons into the greens. Much more of a, middle iron. You even get some wedge opportunities on this golf course. So it's kind of back to, for me anyway, back to the old strokes gained approach. I think covers it best.
Yeah. So what's interesting about this golf course is we have a lot of data on it, right? We play it every single year. And even with having a lot of data, there's not one or two things that stand out. It's kind of an average PGA Tour course, statistically, that is. The one thing, Greg, that I thought was interesting, and I bring this up because you were alluding to it, the only two proximity areas that more shots come from than tour average are short shots, 100 yards and in, and long shots, 200 yards and longer, which is what you were talking about. Those par fives that are going to be, you're going to have to try to eat them up with driver 3-wood or whatever that ends up being, but still some scoring opportunities coming with wedge in hand. I was trying to find another course where the only two places that are above average are frequency of shots from basically wedge range or 100 yards and in and 200 yards or more. And I couldn't find another example of that. So that to me is the biggest statistical outlier of TPC San Antonio on an otherwise average statistical golf course.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I'm not sure where all these, I guess that may speak to the wind. You get some downwind shots and all of a sudden a hole that's 410 yards is you got nothing left into the green.
Yeah.
Right. A hole that's 480 and is playing into the wind and you got 220 in.
Yeah.
All of a sudden. So that may be one reason why because statistically, last week it made sense why so many shots come from outside of 200 yards. Every hole's long. Right? You got 490-yard par, 520-yard par fours. You're going to have long shots in. But this week, at least looking at the card, it doesn't appear to be that way. So that's an interesting wrinkle. But one thing that does stand out when you look at winners and players who have had success here, I do think there's a similar style. You think of a Corey Connors winning here twice. You think of a Jordan Spieth at his best is a great iron player. Kevin Chappell, a great iron player. Charlie Hoffman, great iron player. Even with like Andrew Landry in 2018, he led the field in strokes gained approach for the week. And you look at these last 6 winners, Rick, 3 of them were first in the field for in strokes gained approach in the week of their win. Kevin Chappell was second. Jordan Spieth was fourth. JJ Spawn's the only winner that was outside the top 5 of the last 6, and he was 23rd in that category. So I do think this is kind of a classic. Ball strikers perform really well here.
That is music to my ears. We will dive into this field, find those ball strikers, find the guys that are going to play well at TPC San Antonio this week. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners.
It's time for the madness.
And CBS Sports HQ has your wall-to-wall NCAA tournament coverage. We got your game highlights, expert analysis, and insights all the way to the Final Four. Start and end your March Madness coverage with CBS Sports HQ.
And we're back. This is the cheat sheet, rickrungood.com. We've got 4 golfers over $10,000. Greg, Rory McIlroy leads the way, 10,300. Hideki Matsuyama, 10,600. Ludwig Oberg at 10,500. And Colin Morikawa at 10,100. That is a very interesting group of 4 golfers that we don't usually, like, those 4 guys together doesn't happen often. What are we doing up here, Greg?
Oh, it's a very interesting lineup. And part of the reason is because of Rory McIlroy. We're used to seeing the guy that's the highest price. This year, it's been Scotty Scheffler quite often. And anytime he's played, he's been an auto press. You build your lineup around Scotty Scheffler. Rory McIlroy, throughout his career, has been in a very similar camp. This year, he's not. And the big concern with Rory has been his iron play. I mean, I was looking through some of his statistics today, and some of them are really quite good. Like his driving accuracy, especially, is extremely good this year. He's 36th on tour in driving accuracy. I am reciting this off the top of my head, but I believe he's 23rd in distance from the edge of the fairway. So he's been very, very good with that club off the tee. But the big concern has been the iron play. And at that price point, he worries me. And I think he's a fadeable option. Of course, proceed with caution. There's a lot of risk there. But I think Rory's in a very fadeable camp. And then the 2 guys beneath him, Hideki and Ludwig, just look to be lights out right now.
The losses for Rory McIlroy on approach, I think 3 times in the last 5, and a couple of them have been massive. You flip around and look at Hideki's profile, and it looks like a vintage Hideki profile, Greg. I mean, he is back to being, at least in the last 3, an elite ball striker, a good enough putter, and the around the green play is always underrated. I mean, this is a guy who looks like he's in form again, like he's Hideki again.
Yes. And on a golf course like this, that could be a huge asset, right? You get the sense that he could just knock the cover off the ball this week and dominate with his tee to green performance. I always worry about Hideki's health. I wonder if he's going to just wake up, have a bad day, and not be able to perform or withdraw or something like that. It always worries me, but it's hard to look past these results.
It worries me too, but I sleep well at night knowing that it's unpredictable, right? Which is weird. There is nothing that we could do, know, say, hear, understand that would give us a leg up on whether Hideki is going to withdraw or not. He might just.
You're absolutely right.
So like, I don't even consider it. There are some guys I'm like, oh, maybe it's a nagging thing, or I'm going to listen to his presser. Nope. I'm just like, plug the ears. I have no idea whether he's going to withdraw or not. So I'm just going to act like he's not.
And he's played phenomenally well. So if you go by that camp, then, which I think is wise to do, because that stuff has been incredibly unpredictable. And his press conference isn't even a good indication of that, right? He's felt terrible and hit it great.
He's horrible at describing himself.
Yeah, he really is. And he has a T15 here in his last start withdraw in 2022, and T30 in 2021. So I mean, he seems to check all the boxes for me. You mentioned the underrated short game. That is such a big asset this week, especially on a golf course with really difficult bunkers. Hideki's a very good bunker player. I love what he does with the short game, and I think it could be really, really valuable this week.
Best around the green player in the last 36 rounds is Hideki Matsuyama. Ludwig, I think that, I don't have much more to say on him, right? The oxygen that I've used on him in the last 9 months or so, it still stands. He is a phenomenal player since he's turned professional. By most metrics, he is a top 3 player in the world. There's just not a lot to dislike about the state of his game.
No, I mean, every single event has been a top 30 finish. And since the Farmers Insurance Open, they've all been top 25s. And it's felt kind of like he's underperformed in a strange way. So I can easily get on board with, hey, Ludwig's going to win one of these soon. And on a golf course where you got to keep it in front of you off the tee, a golf course that does have some length, and we got to be really precise with your irons. He's like you said, a top 3 ball striker on tour. And so with both Ludwig and Hideki sitting behind Rory McIlroy, with the questions about him and the price difference, I'm very comfortable playing Hideki or Ludwig over Rory.
I am too. Let's wildly speculate for a second. And I hate to do this. I hate to try to get into some of these guys' heads and all that stuff, but I just feel I don't know if I feel this. I'm confident in saying next week for Rory McIlroy is all that matters. That is not to say he will not play well at the Texas Open, but I would be stunned if there is not an eye looking forward to next week, no matter what happens here. I would find that hard to believe. Now, it's going to be a big week for Ludwig. He's going to make his first Masters appearance. It's going to be a big week for Hideki. He's won it before, but it just feels different for Rory.
And it always has, and it will until he wins a Masters. It just will. I mean, Rory McIlroy was in great form last year, and all of a sudden at the match play, he's changing drivers and changing putters, and like all this stuff that was going great is all up in the air all of a sudden. And that's a sign of pressure. He's changed the formula of, okay, well, 2 years ago, he played the week before. It didn't work out in the first 3 rounds. He played a great Sunday. One of the lowest ever on Sunday at Augusta National, came in second and is invigorated. And then he plays 81 practice holes there the week, in the weeks leading up. And right. There's this idea that, we got to crack the code. And that worries me. It changes it does. It's not like Rory heading into a PGA Championship or a US Open or an Open. It's different. You can feel it. You can sense it. And you can understand it. It should be different. So it's not a knock on him by any means. But you're right, Rick. This means everything to him. And the whole year, I can't imagine this pressure. The whole year comes down to 1 week. Every year.
It's no wonder the first round, it's got to be a freaking pressure cooker
Oh.
on that first tee.
To handle that, to think you could handle that, to think somebody should be able to handle that is naive, because I don't know if you can understand how much this means. I mean, he made a kind of a tongue-in-cheek comment, or just win a green jacket and kind of get out of here. Like this is the last thing I have to do.
Right. It's the only thing I haven't done. Maybe the most interesting golfer in this field, especially at the top of the board, based on the price that's being asked for him, is Collin Morikawa. This does not look like the stat profile of what you'd expect from Collin Morikawa. He's lost strokes on approach in 3 out of his last 4, including some pretty significant losses at both Bay Hill and the Players Championship. The putter is back to, miscooperating off the tee stuff. Some good, some bad. What in the world do you do here?
You fade him, right? I don't think there's really any other option unless you're just a glutton for punishment and you think it's fun to take a risk, or you've been in the camp with he and Mark Blackburn and have seen something noticeably change. But based on the information that we have, we saw him at the Players Championship grinding on the swing, looking quite frustrated, trying to figure it out. We've seen the patented cut miss left time and time again, which is the biggest concern. There's just simply no sign at this point with the information we have that it's going to be a good week for Collin Morikawa. So should you play him? If it's a game theory play, I'm not sure it's a good one, but it's a game theory play, or you're just rolling the dice on talent alone, which he has the talent for it. But it's really hard for me with the guys that surround him to say, okay, I'm gonna fade Rory, Hideki, Ludwig, go with Collin Morikawa because I think he's better than what he's been doing. I don't like to mess with that kind of stuff at this price range.
He's never played this event before, so he'll be making his debut in addition to all of that. The 9K range: Max Homa, Matt Fitzpatrick, Jordan Spieth, twice a winner, Corey Connors, Tommy Fleetwood, and Benny On. Greg, how would you like to start this range?
All right. There's 3 guys in this range I'm interested in. I guess you could say willing to play. And there's one of them is a question mark.
Okay.
That guy, I'll start there. That's Max Homa.
That's the question mark.
That's the question mark.
Okay.
And I feel a lot different about Max Homa than I do Collin Morikawa. Max Homa has shown a lot of potential for upside. He struggled off the tee a little bit, specifically in Florida. I think that can come back into form. He's been working with Mark Blackburn for a long time. I feel a lot better about their ability to get things on the right track, whereas Collin Morikawa, it's brand new. So the trust factor is there with Max Homa, and with Morikawa, I don't know if it is. I also love what Max does on and around the greens. And he does enough on and around the greens, especially when scoring doesn't necessarily get to that 20 under. I mean, it has gotten to 20 under, but it typically doesn't. It's typically similar to what we see in Houston, low teens, mid teens kind of scoring. And I think someone with Max Homa's ability on and around the greens can hold up. So I don't love it, but I'm much more willing to take a chance on him having an uptick in the ball striking.
Yeah, you're right. The short game has been splendid. He at least hit it a little bit better at the Players Championship, but he drove it kind of all over the yard and lost 4.5 strokes there. But, outside of that outside of Players and Pebble Beach, which was just a very weird week weather-wise and everything, it's been a pretty good year for Homa. Okay, so he's the question mark. Who is one of the other guys that you're in on?
Well, Corey Connors.
Okay.
The one issue with him is he going to be just complete chalk?
Dude, I hate this. Right? So yes, he will be. Corey Connors has done the perfect amount to be like 35% owned this week, and I guarantee he will either win or he will miss the cut. You will get nothing in between. I guarantee it. So he has been for a year an unbelievable ball striker and has given all of it back and then some on the putting greens. And then about a couple of starts ago, the finishes start to get a little bit better. T24 here at Riv, T18 at Bay Hill, T13 at the Players. Now he's trending. And what does he do at Sawgrass? He tacks on 2.5 strokes with the putter, and he's going back to the greatest place on planet Earth for him. And now it is just like, you have to make a call to be all in or all out on Corey Connors. And I am positive I will get this wrong.
Well, that's a terrible attitude going in.
Thank you.
It's such a great spot for him for a reason, Rick. I mean, he's won here twice. His worst finish is a T35.
Look at his career numbers. This is by course. I don't have to point out the one that is TPC San Antonio. It's that giant green bar that towers over every other golf course that he has played. It's that one.
Yeah, he's played really well here, and he's putted well here too. So, I mean, there's obviously the 2 wins. He's played here in 5. He has 5 starts here. He's gained strokes putting 4 out of the 5. The only one he lost a half a shot putting, so he's putted really quite well here. He's driven the ball beautifully, which he's been doing. And if there's going to be somebody who's a little volatile, this is a great setup. And I am definitely on the side of all in. I don't think it's miss the cut or win. I think there's a lot of room in between. And I'm looking at Corey Connors as kind of a T29 as the bad week. I think it's a great golf course for him for a reason. He is the prototypical player for this kind of golf course, and I'm willing to go in on it. I may pivot if ownership is just crazy high, because he's far from a lock to win. So
he's going to put those stinking boots on again. I know it.
Then play him.
I don't know about that. Who's the other guy?
All right. The other guy who I really do think could put the boots on, Benny On.
Yes. I'm much happier about this.
Right. Now, Benny On has been getting his fair share of attention in the DFS community. He's been popular this year. A lot of guys have touted him, and for good reason, because the driver has been elite. It's been a weapon. He's shown the ability to spike with the irons. Players Championship didn't go great for him, but short game's been pretty good. He's pretty good in the bunkers too. I was looking at sand save percentages from last couple of years, and Ben On is right there inside the top. He's 5th over the last 2 years in this field in sand save percentage. So that's kind of like a tiebreaker stat that I'm curious about, but not making any decisions on. So I think that Ben On checks all the boxes, and I'm hoping that both Corey Connors and his missed cut last week help kind of take some of the ownership and attention off of Ben On.
And I think it will. I think that you've got Corey Connors, who will definitely suck up a lot of that ownership. And I'm very curious about what people will do with Jordan Spieth. Jordan Spieth does not go 6% owned, right? He'll be 12% at the very least. So I do wonder if that's enough to get people off. Ben On has been one of the better players in 2024, and most of his damage has come in signature events, right? I mean, it's not like he's beating up on the tour's mules. He's beating up on like the big boys.
Yeah, he's playing with them. He was on the Corn Ferry Tour 2 years ago.
He's also played well here. I think he's got 2 top 10s. Yeah, 6th and 6th last year, 7th in 2019.
It's a great setup for him. He's aggressive, which can be a separator because there's some scary tee shots here. He's not afraid of those. So he will take on shots that'll give him an advantage over the rest of the field. And I think he's in a place where he's trusting the driver for sure. And the putter's fine. It's a lot better than Corey Connors, that's for sure.
Oh my God. I cannot believe we live in a world where Benny On would beat the crap out of Corey Connors in a putting contest.
Yeah, we do.
And that's exactly what happened.
Right.
8Ks. Now, we got a couple of guys here, Greg, that finished really well last week, specifically at the top. Billy Horschel and Alex Noren, they're 8,900 and 8,700. Then you get Brian Harman and Adam Scott towards that middle upper, Harris English towards the middle, and then Russell Henley, Tom Kim, and Ricky Fowler round out the rest of this range.
Yeah, this is a tough range. Okay, there's some guys I like. They happen to be right up at the top. I think Horschel and Noren are really good plays. Beyond that, there's some question marks. So let's go to Alex Noren.
Okay.
All right, because he's probably the guy for me in this range. I love what he's been doing with his ball striking, with his entire game. I just have we've all known he's a great putter for a long time. So it's no surprise to see him putting well. But looking at some of the Scotty Scheffler statistics over the last couple of weeks, I was spending some time in the bogey avoidance camp and, trying to figure out what Scotty does to make so few bogeys. Alex Noren's right there. He actually had entering last week, he had made fewer bogeys than Scotty Scheffler on the year, but had played fewer holes. So he was second in bogey avoidance. And one of the reasons for that is his greens of regulation is extremely high this year.
Yeah.
In fact, I believe he's second on tour in greens of regulation.
Yeah. So how about this? So he is top 10. He's top 8 in both driving accuracy and greens in regulation. So when you hit a ton of fairways and you hit a ton of greens, yeah, even I could avoid making bogeys like that.
Yeah. It's a recipe, right? And that's what Scotty does. Right, you don't drive it in any trouble, and you knock it on the green. And should you miss one, you have a great short game that can bail you out. And I don't necessarily think that greens of regulation and fairways hit and bogey avoidance is the strategy on a weekly basis, unless you are Scotty Scheffler and also lead in birdie average, right? That you become number one in the world. But in the case of Alex Noren, there are certain golf courses where you don't need to make a ton of birdies. You need to avoid trouble. This is one of those. You just sprinkle in some birdies. Just sprinkle them in here and there throughout the week. Like last week in Houston, if you made birdies on the 3 par 5s every day and made no bogeys, you would have tied Steven Yeager.
Right.
But you think about it from that perspective, and it's like, well, okay, I don't have to play that aggressive here. I got to take care of a couple of holes. This is a similar scoring style of golf course. So Alex Noren fits that mold for me.
Alex Noren's $8,700. He's got 3 straight top 20 finishes. He played great on the weekend in Houston. He finished T15 here last year. So yes, absolutely on board there. You also mentioned Billy Horschel, Greg, who we talked about on Sunday's show, because he's made some equipment changes and all of a sudden the results are coming in. He's got 3 top 12 finishes in his last 4 starts, including a 7th place finish last week. Excuse me.
Yeah. Look, it's not, I feel like I'm chasing a little bit with Billy Horschel with these recent results, but when you look at his course history here, he's got 2 third place finishes. One's a T3, one's a 3rd. He's got a tied 4th here. He has a T11 in 2018. So he has a pretty good pedigree here on this golf course. And he's just hitting the ball so much better. He's like a new player. Those equipment changes have led to a big spike in his greens of regulation. And I don't think it's too much of a stretch that he continues the good play heading into this week. So I feel like I'm chasing a little bit, but it's hard to ignore what we've seen, especially knowing there's the legitimate reason for it.
The guy that I've got clicked down at the bottom of this range is Harris English, who just continues to pile up these top 25 finishes. Greg, 17th, 7th, 21st, and 19th in his last 4 starts. And he, to me, kind of falls into that Alex Noren-esque category of just kind of well-rounded, don't make a lot of bogeys, just take your chances when they get here. And we've spoken about him quite a bit. Just seems like he's healthy and playing well again.
Yeah. And if you look at the numbers for this golf course, average, as you say, well, that means that because somebody's going to have success. When a golf course is kind of average in its statistics, it means it could very easily point to recent form as being the most important thing, right? Are you playing well coming in? If you're playing well coming in, no matter how you're doing it, you have a good chance of playing well at TPC San Antonio. And Harris English definitely checks that box. But I got a guy I want to ask you about.
Okay.
Feels like more of a chance, much more of a chance than the three guys we've talked about already. And that's Russell Henley.
Ooh, the Russ bus coming off the
this. Yeah, coming off a miscut at the Players. But this feels like a smash spot for him.
Well, here's the thing. He's a better putting Corey Connors.
Fair.
Right? I mean, if we compared what Russell Henley and what Corey Connors do well, I mean, there'd probably be a lot of similarities, right?
Accurate
right.
and elite approach play.
Yeah. Accurate off the tee, both over 65%, lots of greens in regulation, very good approach numbers. Corey Connors is a worse putter. Corey Connors hits it longer, but they're both very accurate. Yeah. Russell Henley is a cheaper, slightly shorter, better putting Corey Connors.
But this is the caveat. Russell Henley's only played here twice, albeit 2019, 2016. He has a T52 and a missed cut. And unlike Corey Connors, who putts really well here, Russell Henley has lost 3 strokes or more in both of his 2 starts here. So that might be a concern. Now, those are a long time ago. And he's been putting great lately. So I wonder if he can turn the corner. That's kind of why I was thinking that.
That's a pretty good one, because I think everybody was in on him for the Players. You know, he had a couple of T4s in the lead up. He misses the cut, and the Players feels like a year ago.
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna star Russell Henley and keep that. Keep an
eye on it.
Yeah,
because look, everybody misses a cut at the Players.
Yeah, oh yeah,
it's brutal. I almost just rule that out, good or bad.
Yeah, whatever you did at the Players, I don't care.
Right. It needs to be a part of a trend in one way or the other in order for it to count for me.
All right. We're going to continue this conversation. We'll get down to the 7s, 6s, and yes, those pesky little 5s. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners.
At CBS Sports Golazo Network, we're bringing you the game.
Madness of Messi arrives!
Breaking down the game.
This is unlike anything else in the world.
And changing the game.
Get it all for nil.
That means free.
Wow.
And all day long!
24/7.
And we're back. Greg, look at this 7K range. Christian Bezadenhout leads us off at $7,900. He's up there with Aaron Ryan, Akshay Bhatia. The middle, Hostler, McCarthy, EVR. The bottom of this range, how about Mark Hubbard, Sam Ryder? What do you find when you start digging through here?
Well, I hate to do it because it feels like we're always starting right at the top, but DraftKings has done a nice job with their pricing this week. The play of the week seems to be Christian Bezadenhout to me. I can't get enough. I can't take my eyes away. He's
for me on this.
This has been absolutely spectacular. I mean, every single event this year on the PGA Tour, except the Arnold Palmer Invitational, he's gained a shot or more approaching the green. He gained 7 at the Players. Now, he lost 6 at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, but now it's very easy to just write that off. He's just continued spectacular play.
He is, I was looking at this the other day, the improvement that he has made. So the approach play, I think he's working with Jeff Smith now, and it kind of lines up with the start of the calendar year. So he was already a very good putter. and has now turned into a very good second shot player and did not lose the putting. And it has created a very, very big leap for him that is starting to show up in all of these results.
And if there's a weakness, it's his driver, and it's not the accuracy. It's the distance, which I think is important to some degree, but not like it was last week. So I think you can get around this place with precision, and Christian has done that. So at 7,900, I mean, he's almost the kind of guy you could build your lineup around.
I agree. Where else in the 7K range?
There's a lot of guys, Rick. There's a lot of guys. I mean, so Aaron Rye right beneath him. Let's just go there. This is another, again, very comparable style of scoring that you saw last week that's going to be required here. And his game has just been steady. He's a plotter. He's accurate off the tee. He didn't even get that advantage last week. The advantage of his accuracy was nowhere to be found last week, and he still finishes T7. I know he missed the cut at the Valspar, missed the cut in Phoenix, but other than that, his play has been so steady. And this feels like a steady man's kind of golf course. So I'm interested in Aaron Rye as well. Does feel like chasing a little bit.
What I like about him is he is capable of having one of the best ball striking weeks out of anybody in the field. And we've seen that kind of a couple times from him just since the end of last year. Whether, the putter cooperates or not, TBD, but he is a very high upside golfer that has shown it a handful of times. I want to get your thoughts on Lucas Glover here, Greg, because I was ready to write him off, and I'm just getting reeled right back into this. And the reason for it is, again, use Corey Connors as your blueprint, right? What does Corey Connors do well? He keeps it in play off the tee. Okay, that's what Lucas Glover does. Corey Connors is a great second shot player. Okay, great. Lucas Glover is as well. Lucas Glover, the putter, same thing as Corey Connors, has not been the strong suit over the years. However, I just listened to him talk about now he's still using that same lab putter, but he's using a different head that is easier for him to line up instead of being a big block. It looks better to him. And now he gains nearly a stroke putting at Valspar. And just when I was ready to never click Lucas Glover's name again, I am back looking at Lucas Glover's profile.
Yep. He's one of the names I wrote down here, Rick. And we talked about him last week as well. Or at the Valspar, we talked about him. So 2 Mondays ago. For just this reason, even though the putting has been poor, it's not a yip. And so it gives him, because he's gotten rid of the yips, the chances of him having a good, decent putting week goes way up. It becomes a real possibility just without the yips. So I know we kind of feel like it was overplayed because he's still not a great putter. But it's not like he cracked the code. He just filled a massive hole in the wall, right? And now he can hang a picture off. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. Maybe it's a nice picture, maybe it's not. But all those possibilities now open up. So yeah, I'm all on Lucas Glover. The style, the accuracy with both irons and the driver, that all comes into play here. And you don't have to fill it up with birdies. Kind of similar to a Valspar, where he finished T11, 11th, solo 11th.
Solo 11. Okay. Those are probably my favorites. Seabez, Lucas Glover. I like Victor Perez down at the bottom. Is there anybody we're missing here?
Yeah. Well, we got to talk about it.
Okay.
We at least have to talk about it. And I don't know what to do. It's Keith Mitchell.
Oh boy.
Rick, what do we do? This ball striking is absurd. His record here is pretty good. He has a T17 in 2021, a T26 in 2018. It's pretty solid. And he seems to be hitting the ball as well as he ever has. So help me.
I don't know if I can. I have spent a lot of time not playing Keith Mitchell. And I'm not sure I've ever regretted it. And I just don't know what it is about him, because this is one of those guys that if you had to play 1,000 holes, I think he'd beat a lot of his peers. But you got to play 72, and then when it gets down to Sunday and things start to get really tight, he's kind of starts to play his worst. So I don't know. I don't have like a data take. I don't have anything logical or reasonable. I just don't like investing in it.
All right. I'm sold. It's a really good point. I've never really regretted it.
Yeah.
And I always I look at Keith Mitchell right now and I could say, okay, let's pretend TPC San Antonio, the Valero Texas Open, there's a 1 next to his name at the end of the week. Mm-hmm. We like to do this exercise. And it becomes so obvious, right? There are 3 events since the American Express where he's gained over 6 shots or more approaching the green. And he's gained strokes approaching the green in just about every one of them, except for Pebble Beach, which is 1 round. He lost a half a shot. So this is there's obviously something going on with the iron play. And I like to invest in that kind of thing. I like to attach myself to that. But at the same time, where's the T3? There's a couple of 5ths.
Couple of 9ths.
Couple of 9ths. So I get what you're saying. But I think I'm investing.
Okay. That's fine.
Maybe I'm just feeling a little. I think I'm going to invest.
All right.
But I'm still undecided.
I don't want to spend your money. I'm not going to let you spend mine. So that's
Fair.
all. That's
Deal.
all good. Anybody else?
No, the last guy that I had written down was Victor Perez.
Okay. Yeah. I just kind of mentioned him earlier. He's probably playing a lot better than people realize. I mean, I don't know how many brain cells people are allocating to Victor Perez over the course of the last couple of weeks, but 3rd in Puerto Rico, T16 at Cognizant, T17 in Houston. He did miss the cut at Valspar, but a lot of green, a lot of solid play, even going back to it. Yeah, striping it. So not asking for much, but go out and get us a T9.
7,100 T9. Take that and run.
Yeah. The $6,000 range. Remember, we still have the 5s to get to. This does go all the way down to the 5K range. The top of the 6s are Adam Schenk, Doug Ghim, Davis Riley. The middle is Andrew Novak, Seamus Power. The bottom of the 6K range is Ben Silverman, Chandler Phillips, and Grayson Sigg. Obviously, there's a lot more names than I read out there, Greg. But where do you want to go first here?
Boy, I love this 6K range.
Wow. Okay.
I wrote down 8 names that I think are playable.
Just make lineups out of those 8.
Well, if I had Scotty at 13K, I would.
Scotty in the long shots.
Right? So I'll read a couple to you. Stop me if any of these guys really catch your attention.
Okay.
The first one, I never thought I would say this. I was so done with Davis Riley. You know who Davis Riley went back to working with?
Oh, I do not.
His name has been mentioned on this podcast already. Jeff Smith.
Oh, Jeff Smith.
Yes.
I might have known that.
So he just went back to him after the Players. Wow. And all of a sudden, he starts striping it last week. Starts playing great golf. And so, again, you look at this profile, and it's very easy to say statistically, okay, well, Davis Riley just simply had a good week. And that's all the evidence would say. I would never get on board here with this. But because he's went back to his old coach, Jeff Smith, and gotten back to old feels, like he said, I think there's something that can stick. I think there's something that can click. And
What if I just do this, Greg? What if this was just his whole profile? That would look a lot better. Just his last 2 starts. I just got rid of everything else. This is the post the Jeff Smith era right here.
Yeah, he's got a miscut at a T14. Right? It's like, oh, okay.
Don't look at anything beyond this.
Yeah, if that's all it was, I would say no. But I know that he's won on the PGA Tour. He's in a team event. He's contended. He's a really good player who I've thought has been underperforming. But I feel like there's a little inspiration now that something actually worked.
Okay.
So
I like a real life change being reflected in the stats.
I eat it up.
Okay.
Eat it up. So all in there. Continuing down, Andrew Novak.
Yep. We've spoken to him quite a bit. Agreed.
T53 last week, not great. He's at 6,500. Keep hammering the well there. Max Gracerman, really impressive last week. Really impressive. This has been a short career. We haven't seen a lot, but since the Cognizant Classic, you have a T15 in Puerto Rico, a T33 at the Valspar, a T7 last week in Houston. I think he's starting to feel comfortable, and I really like what I saw out of him. Getting to watch him on the broadcast last week.
He's never been more than 2.5% owned, so I also think you're going to get him at a pretty decent number too.
All right, this one may surprise you. Also at 6,500. I don't know where this has come from, but Ryan Moore.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Have you, Rick? This is what he has done in the last 3 events has been sweet.
Oh, my heart.
Yeah. And then look at his record here.
I knew his record was good.
Yeah, he has his first ever start in 2012. He finished T8, T18 and 17. 7th in 18, 3rd in 19. In his last 2 starts, he has a 76 and a missed cut. But all of a sudden, when you look at this recent play, he was T5 at the Valspar, and he gained 9 strokes approaching the green. He gained 6 strokes approaching the green at the Players, 4.7 strokes approaching the green last week in Houston. He is one of the slowest clubhead speed players on the PGA Tour, and he's gained strokes off the tee in the last 3 weeks. What is going on?
He is he's back on Team No Putt, but because he's old, it's like Team No Putt emeritus. Like he gets like an honorable like welcome back, maybe an alum situation.
He a career earnings exemption to Team No Putt.
Exactly. This is. I was not expecting to see this.
No, I wasn't either. And I think it's when you have 3 weeks in a row like that, and then you combine the course history here, it's a lot to ignore.
It's really good.
At 6,500. A lot to ignore.
Best course on tour form.
Over his whole career?
Yeah. Sorry, I should clarify. Of courses that are on the schedule this year.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where
Okay. Well, still,
yeah.
So that's fantastic.
I'm surprised you have not named the guy yet. The guy who's mispriced. The guy.
What is it? Does he have a nickname? No way.
I don't think he does.
The guy's on my list. The guy who's mispriced. Right. He's at 6,300.
That's
he's on my, so my debate, there were 2 guys that I think I wrote him down. I'm not sure I need to go there, but this I do need to go here because it's Matty Schmidt.
Unbelievable. How disrespectful.
What? The disrespect. It's sickening.
He is $6,300. The same price as Adam Svensson, who has missed 3 out of his last 5. Sorry, Adam. Alejandro Tosti, fine. JJ Spawn, he has gone T10, T26, T17, T21. Unbelievable off the tee. Very good putter with that long stick. okay on like this. He is vibing right now.
Right. And he's smiling around the golf course. He's having fun. Like this is just working out for him. Things are just going well. And like we said, average golf course, when it comes to statistics, you go heavy to recent form. Matty Schmid checks that box. By the way, he smashes it, which isn't a prerequisite here, but I don't hate it.
Yeah, if you want to smash it, smash it. I don't care. Yeah, that's the guy right there.
Yeah, top choice. I agree. All right. Also, I had. This feels like I'm chasing a little bit, but Chandler Phillips.
Oh, coming off the T3 and the T45. So
yeah, T3, T45, but it's been 4 events in a row with basically gaining 3 strokes approaching the green in each of those. So the ball striking has been pretty high quality. He's been bland on the greens. He's a Texas guy.
He is
playing in Texas, and he's at 6,000 flat. So, I mean, I'm not saying he's going to go win, but if he can give you another T45, you take that, right?
I would, yes. I would take it if he was going to give me another T45.
So the other 2 guys that I wrote down, Rick, we don't have to look at them, but Seamus Power and Bud Cauley.
Yes.
Also in this range. I think they're also playable.
Seamus has been playing a lot better. And then Bud Cauley, the place that I thought was going to be like the best place for him is where he missed the cut, but otherwise he's been very good.
Very solid.
The 5Ks starts with Aaron Baddeley, Chan Kim, Chris Gotterup. The middle is Grayson Murray, Hayden Springer, Matt Neesmith. The min-priced golfers this week include Kevin Kisner, Josh Teeter, and JB Holmes is in every field, isn't he?
Every week you mention him, min price.
Every week I'm stunned that he's in the field.
And he has missed a lot of cuts in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 straight cuts for JB Holmes.
He has not made a cut on the PGA Tour since the Valspar last year. So over a year.
Honda, 23 Honda I have. Well, you got Valspar?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. So no, you're right.
He missed the cut at the Valspar.
Right. That started the streak.
Right.
Yes. My bad. So it's been 14 months since he's made a cut on the PGA Tour.
And it wasn't much better before that.
With respect, how's he getting into these fields?
I wonder if he's playing on like a career. I haven't looked into it. So I apologize.
You have not.
I should be more prepared.
How JB Holmes is getting into these fields? You haven't looked?
No, I apologize. But this could be like a career money exemption kind of a deal.
He's in on at least for this week, he's in on a major medical.
Oh, okay. So he gets a certain number of starts. Well, there's your answer.
Yeah.
So he'll get a certain number of starts, and he's going to have to contend or get hurt again.
Those are his 2 options.
Yeah, because he can't have that many more events left.
He can't. You don't get that many.
No, and he's played already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's played 6 already.
Yeah.
So, he may have another 6, depending on what that major medical was, but that's not looking good.
We might not be seeing JB Holmes for a while. Okay, who else? Who do we have here in the 5K range?
All right, there's a couple guys that I think are interesting at the very least. One, probably my top choice in this range, top curiosity level, Ben Martin. He's at 5,600.
Okay.
So
I have no idea what's about to show up when I click this.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. T67 at the Valspar, T31 at the Players, T42 in Puerto Rico for his last 3 starts. He's gained strokes approaching the green and ball striking in all three of those. The putter was pretty bad at the Valspar, but everywhere else it's been pretty good. This is at 5,600. This is a go make a cut, and I think he's trending in the right direction and very capable of that.
Okay.
He also, he finished T10 here in 2023. So another little check in the box. Made a lot of cuts here.
He's made 3 straight cuts.
All right, let's go also down to 5,500 and take a look at Grayson Murray. This is pretty interesting. T25 at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, T42 at the Players. He obviously won at the Sony. So this is not a prediction of another win, but it feels to me like he got that win. There's the winner's lull.
Yep.
And I think he's working his way out of that. And he seems to be doing it with some improved ball striking, which I'm very clearly in favor of this week.
Which the winner's lull, he would not be the first to fall victim to that.
No. That's many players.
And he will not be the last. But you're right that the last two starts of metrics look a lot like the win and then the American Express, which he missed the cut, but he had one really bad round. The other stuff wasn't too bad.
I think it was the first round at the American Express.
It was I have it as the third round.
Oh, okay. Maybe he fought back. I think he was well over par in the first round and fought back.
I think you're right.
So, but anyway, I think he could be trending in the right direction. And at 5,500, we need a T40.
Lonzo Griffin's back to making cuts, and he's finished 34th, 53rd, and 15th here in the last couple of years.
Yeah, his game, in theory, really wide lens would be a nice fit here.
Yeah,
he's a really good driver of the ball. Tends to be a good putter.
In theory. Would you play Padraig Harrington, who is crushing the senior tour, but kind of getting crushed everywhere else?
No.
Come on, Patty.
No, I'd rather play Joe Highsmith. He's 5,800.
21st last week, gained 6.7 strokes ball striking, had a T6 at Puerto Rico. Wears a that's not really a bucket hat. It's more of a sun hat, right?
That's like a Australian hat, which I actually have some of those.
So do
the
I.
Same ones from Titleist. They're awesome.
I have the same one, Titleist with a TPC Las Vegas logo on the side, because it was 1 billion degrees out there one day, and I said I'm going to melt unless I get this hat, and I bought it.
It helps. When I was standing out on the lesson tee all day, I wore one of those.
It's awesome.
I don't play in them. I don't. But I will wear it on the lesson tee. And if you ever go to the beach,
yes,
perfect for the beach.
It's like an umbrella for your head.
Yeah, you gotta have it.
Yeah.
So big fan of the Aussie style hat.
Yeah. Thanks, Joe Highsmith. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Good luck this week.
What else we got?
Those were the three. I had Highsmith, Martin, and Grayson Murray in this range.
Okay. I had Aaron Baddeley is at the top of this range. He's played this 1 billion times. He's been pretty good, and he's got a 17th in Valspar, 23rd in Puerto Rico. I had him. I had Dylan Wu at 5,700.
I looked at him too. He's interesting.
And then I had a question mark next to Padraig, but you dismissed it pretty quickly. So now I'm
yeah, I just don't. I don't know. The upside just doesn't seem to be there.
He's outclassed. He's crushing the guy. He's like Scotty on the senior tour, and then he comes here, and it's like,
it's amazing to keep up. But you said something to me a couple of years ago, Rick, when You get down into these ranges. There are some guys that you know their names, and it's very easy to click them, but like their potential is very limited. Where there are some guys that you don't know who you might know in a few years, and it could be a real big asset to your team. So that's why I said Joe Highsmith, because he's played 11 events on the PGA Tour. We don't know who he is yet.
Yes.
And we could learn very quickly. That kind of player has a much higher chance of somehow winning than Potter Carrington, in my opinion.
I agree with myself from a couple of years
Yeah.
ago.
It's wise. I always remember that.
It's true. Like I know exactly what Ryan Palmer is. I have no idea what Joe Highsmith is.
Yeah. And Joe Highsmith could be really good. It could turn out to be a superstar. Who knows?
If he just turns out to be like the 40th best player for $5,800, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, Greg?
I'm excited for this week. It's going to be fun to build lineups because there are a lot of options in these lower tiers, and I think because of this absence of Scotty Scheffler, there's a lot of options up top as well. It's going to be fun to build them. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it as well. Remember, this is the start. Basically starting tomorrow, just like full steam ahead on Texas Open and Masters stuff. So we talked about this last night, but just to remind everyone, tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern time, we are doing an early Masters preview. It is a 44-minute show that will be live on CBS Sports Network. When the show is complete, they will send us the audio and the video, and we will upload it to this YouTube channel. So you can watch it live, which we encourage, or you can catch up afterwards here on YouTube. That does not stop us from doing a Texas Open Megapod tomorrow at normal time, 5 p.m. Eastern time, live on YouTube, all that fun stuff. And then, Greg, we are rolling right into round by round recaps. And then we are rolling right into Masters coverage where we're doing the pods on CBS Sports Network. So basically this is the last day of normalcy. And then starting tomorrow is going to be the sprint.
The mayhem. And I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be an awesome tournament to cover, both this week and obviously next week.
So sick. So sick.
I can't believe it's here.
Okay. Well, big thanks to producer Troy, who does all the hard work behind the scenes. That right there is Greg DuCharme, who you can find on Twitter at @TheRealGFT, and you can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.